Welcome and thank you for participating in the New Member Pilot Program webinar. I'm excited to share with you the New Member Pilot Program this evening. My name is Ellen Schertzer, and if we haven't had the opportunity to meet, I want to thank you for agreeing to participate in this process. The chapter was willing to take a leap of faith and beta test the new program. Thank you so much for your courage and willingness to change. I am very optimistic that by the end of this pilot program, you have decided that this was the best decision you made in piloting the program. Roll call to make sure we know who's all participating in the pilot process. I mentioned this on our individual calls, but in case things have changed between the time of our call and now, I'd like to be aware of who all will be participating in the program. University, State, Technology, the Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky University, and Wittenberg University. You can see it is a wide variety of campuses and chapters that will be joining us this year in the pilot process. We have small chapters, we have large chapters, we have small universities, we have large universities. So hopefully the diverse presentation will be able to provide us a great snapshot of what we need for the program to launch it with the greater fraternity next year. Like me, webinars can get a little long and boring. We have a lot of information to cover, but I will try to move quickly and provide a lot of information to help you implement the program. The challenge is I can't always read facial expressions and body language. So as you go through this process, we do have a chat feature that you can ask questions. Please don't wait till the very end. This is the webinar agenda for this evening. As you can see, it's pretty lengthy, and we try to get through everything. The other piece of this is as we move through, if you make sure you ask. So up your manual that you received from me on Tuesday, you might out this way. How in the world am I going to be able to implement this program? It's 8 pages long. You might have thought, there's no way we're going to follow this. I won't ask for volunteers to share their reactions, but I want to make sure you know we are going to take this one step at a time. We will have the basis for you this evening to implement the program, and we're not asking for perfection, we're asking for implementation. If you don't ask, if you do something, make it better. If challenges persist, we want you to end up halfway through. If there's something that we can do to help you through the process, just ask me and we'll make sure we can get you the help that you need. Program and walk through each of the meetings and see the first difference that you notice with the pilot program. Referring to the program as weeks, we now have meetings. Your chapter might be on a campus that allows for 8-week new member programs, but not all of our campus partners allow for that. So regulations changing. The pilot group that put together the program, but it's important to emphasize that this could be done in fewer than 8 weeks. So the first meeting is really a combination. Things might have traditionally done after the pledging ceremony and information that might have been presented at the first meeting. The line for the meeting includes going over the pledging ceremony, so using your white book to make sure that you debrief what exactly just happened, discussing the pledge oath so new members know exactly what they've agreed to. The other meeting is going to be around brotherhood. And you'll find that we'll have some type of brotherhood building activity for new members to participate in. The goal of this is really to strengthen the connection between them, but the goal is we need to be strengthening the connection with other brothers. So brotherhood building activities that you think initiated brothers would like to join in on, feel free to invite them to that part of the meeting. We'll also introduce the Delt Creed. Over the course of 8 weeks, the goal is for the new members to memorize it. So this meeting, you'll introduce the first stanza. And in this meeting, we'll be really emphasizing what the requirements are for initiation. We ensure that the new members know exactly what's expected of them, both in their time but in their finances. You may feel like this is too much to cover in one meeting, and it can take maybe 30 additional minutes for to get through the pilot program for each meeting. So additionally, you've met for 60 minutes. You might be there some of these meetings for a little bit longer. So if, as you refer to time on the sheets in your manual, you feel like a meeting could be condensed and broken up into 2 meetings, that's you. To introduce the mission values of the fraternity. We'll all discuss the individual's values, helping to identify what they care about. We'll do the second stanza of the Delt Creed, and this is the first opportunity to do some personal development programming. Road, our is to implement educational programming in addition to fraternity practices, but to personal development practices. So one of the key pieces that we know new students need are time management skills. We know that if a student isn't successful on their college campus, then they're not going to be able to stick around and be a vital member of the chapter. So we need them to be a successful student. This session is included in manual, and you're welcome to use it. Or if you have a facilitator who wants to use their own information, that's fine too. The great addition to the program is it allows you to invite speakers to come in to meet the new members. So if a chapter advisor, a faculty or academic advisor, or an elite in the area that would like to get to know the new members, this is a great way to incorporate them in the program. It takes a little bit longer because it's designed to be more of a retreat for the members and the initiated members. The goal of the session is to focus on DTAW, Delt's talking about alcohol. We hear feedback that this program is not effective, or members, when they take it, they don't take it seriously. So in creating a one-day retreat around DTAW and the MRG presentation is to strengthen the effectiveness of both pieces. Portion, we find someone within your community to help you present it. How it would work is there are 3 sections of detail that a new member would take. And after each section, there's some facilitated conversation. Ideas would be presented by an alcohol or substance abuse prevention coordinator, a chapter advisor, or someone with knowledge of the DTAW program. If the teacher has not completed the MRG presentation that does require 90% of your members, this is an opportunity to invite initiated brothers to come and spend some time with the new members. This summer, we've also worked on new officer manuals. You will find a risk manager officer manual, a template to do the MRG presentation. That it would be in one day so that the new members would see the connection between why they're taking DTAW and why we have these expectations for membership. It begins to introduce the history of the fraternity and your local history. It's also a key part of this meeting and helping them to understand that membership is a lifetime and membership education doesn't stop after they're initiated. Introduce the 3rd stanza of the Delt Creed. We'll do another personal development session. There's a session in your manual about setting goals. And then this part of this meeting is going to be introducing a concept called the Campus Resource Tour activity. At the end of the webinar, I'll provide a little bit more information about what the Campus Resource Tour activity is. 5. This opportunity for the new members to get to know a little bit more about how the fraternity works. They'll learn about the fraternity operations from a national level, but we want you to include your local constitution, bylaws, and chapter operations. In the local manual or participant manual, which we will discuss as well, there is a space for you to actually drop in your chapter constitution and bylaws. Again, make sure that these know the expectations of membership before they're initiated. The brother activity for this meeting includes going over the process of Robert's Rules of Order. We also know that we want to make sure the men are fully prepared and comfortable to participate in voting and discussion at the chapter meetings. Examples of activities that you can do. The other option is you could invite in someone who advises your student government or works maybe with your campus activity board to do a Robert's Rules of Order presentation if you don't feel comfortable with that topic. This meeting focuses solely on serving the community and the fraternity's partnership with JDRF. We've given you an example of what we'd like the new member service project to be. So many pledge classes have done a project. Some may have related to improving the chapter shelter if they have one, organizing an activity, a social activity with a sorority. But we really, by the new members come to meeting 6, that they've completed the new member service project. Again, this will be an additional webinar that you can review and learn a little bit more about that. We're going to accomplish a couple things. We're going to talk about the value of serving the community and the fraternity partnership with JDRF. The key to this meeting is inviting someone from the local JDRF chapter to come and speak. Coordinating the Bethany Leadership Academy, there were not any JDRF chapters in Bethany, West Virginia. So we contacted the closest chapter, which was actually about 2 hours away, and they connected us with a family that came and spoke at the Leadership Academy. If a chapter is not in your town or city, that's fine. Be sure them early, and I think they can find someone, a family representative, someone with juvenile diabetes, to come and share your story. That message is very powerful for the new members to hear and really start to understand why there is this partnership. These include in this meeting any local tradition with philanthropy or community service projects. As we begin to transition to the end of the new member program, meetings 7 and 8 will serve as that bridge where you might have thought of Adult Development Week. So in 7, the members will go through the rite of iris. They will prepare for initiation. They will complete the fraternity examination, and this includes a final interview with an alumnus. Again, read through the manual. You might have noticed this addition. The goal of this activity truly is to engage your volunteer advisory team or area alumni in positive conversation with new members. It is meant to be punitive, or it's not meant to be something that is new members could fail at. It's really meant to be a supportive environment that they know what they've done over the course of the last 7 weeks. Meeting then picks up with getting new members in the right mindset and preparing the information they need to present, going to ritual, and then it concludes with the ritual education. A quick snapshot of what the 8 meetings look like for the new member program. So how is the meeting structured? As you'll see an example of the first meeting. There is information on each page, and I'd like to break down some of the important points for you to know. At the meeting, you'll find some things that we found are important to cover. So these are highlights that you need to hit: the pledging ceremony, the pledge oath, story activity, etc. The next section hits on things that they need to complete before the next meeting. The new member educator, this is a good checklist so that you can remind them what they should be doing for homework. In general, we expect that the new members educators will approach these meetings sort of like a teacher or a professor. They do prep work. There's actually going to be a lot of prep work. And that work can't be done an hour before the meeting. It needs to be done weeks in advance. And so this gives you a template to know, do I need to make copies of things? Do I have speakers prepared? Do I need to have the new read things before that meeting so that we can discuss it? So those are some clues there to help you prepare. On the page, you'll see our outline of how the format for each meeting. On the left, we're giving you a time frame, so 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and that's just a guesstimate. We said some new educators are going to talk a little bit longer, some are going to be a little bit shorter, and so that gives you an idea of how much time you should spend with a certain section of the meeting. We have a ceremony or a discussion or activity. Again, this is a clue to you as the new member educator to know, okay, something that I'm going to have to prep for. Is this something that I'm going to have to bring a speaker in? Lastly, you'll notice in the text the sections that are italicized. So something that is italicized is something that we expect you'll read verbatim. The other information is generally just instructions for you as a new member educator. We have a format that we'd like you to follow. The new members go through the 8 meetings. They will begin to develop of the DELT Creed and memorize it, and so that will be something that will be at every beginning of the meeting. And we'll do some additional things. The first is a wrap-up. We need to parent and share with the new members pertinent information. So any dates, anything they need to schedule or follow up as a group, and then lastly, what do they need to read in the Life of Excellence Manual to be prepared for the next meeting. And an item is the Gavel Pass. I don't assume that everybody knows what a Gavel Pass is, but our expectation with it is that the circle up, and at some point, each member of the new member class will have a chance to speak. Gavel passes where we just allow individuals to share what's on their mind. During the program, they'll actually have questions that they need to discuss. So each meeting, there will be a Gavel Pass with 1 or 2 rounds with reflection questions for the new members to share. Of the Gavel Pass, linked arms, circle up, and sing Delta Shelter. There's a copy of the song in the local manual that we provided you, so time again we expect them to learn that song. Piece of the new member program is the participant, or what you probably refer to as the local manual. Across chapter to chapter, this looks very different. Some chapters have 2 or 3 pages, some over 100 pages in their local manual. So, effort to try to make it a little more consistent and branded, we've given a template for the local manual. This is included in the email that I sent to you. Information that has to be in your local manual. There are activities in there, there are certain languages, expectations and whatnot, and information must be included. So know that there's probably local information. So we designated some spots for you to include local information, like I mentioned, the Constitution and bylaws, a list of your chapter officers, financial, and things that are specific to your new member program. The other of this is we make sure that the local manuals are using proper fraternity marks and logo. We do want you to create your own Tau Delta logo. We're using the proper colors so that the new members start to understand that they're joining one fraternity, not just one chapter. The part is, as a pilot group, you'll be able to set the tone for other chapters as we can move forward with the new member program next year. To submit a copy to me as soon as your new member program begins, and we'll be able to share those on the Delta Connect page as well, so that individuals can see what everybody else's local manual looks like. You received from me today, you probably noticed a link to a new member education survey. And I'll discuss quickly what our expectations are for reports and evaluations. The first is just the pre-new member education survey that's to be completed by August 14th. The purpose is to really assess where your new member program was last year. So looking back a year ago and what your experience was with your new members is the invitation for that survey. As you progress through the new member program, there'll be 2 different reports. One after meeting number 4 and one after meeting number 8. These are pretty simple, a few open-ended questions that will allow for you to discuss the things that you like or don't like, additions to make, changes, and evaluation is similar to the first new education survey completed when the new member education period ends. You all complete reports. We'd like to hear from the new members. So pre and post evaluation for every male going through the new member program this year. I will send you the link on Friday for the pre-evaluation. Our expectation is that as soon as your new member program starts, you share with your new members. It is not going to be anonymous, and it really isn't intended to judge the quality of the new member educator, but more what did the new members learn in the 8 meetings. Would actually put up a picture of a scavenger hunt when typically if you ask anyone at the central office about scavenger hunts, this is the action you get. Mentioned previously, the campus resource tour is a new addition to the program. Our goal with this is to introduce students to the resources available on campus and learn details of how they can utilize their services. Too many times men wait till it's too late to take advantage of these opportunities on their campus. Do this. Again, our new members are not in school, then not complete the new member program. If our others are not in school, that decreases our attention. To make sure that men are successful on our college campuses, we need to make sure that they have the tools to do so. The program is intentional to get men out of the chapter and engaged on the campus. I used to have a University 101 class or something where speakers might come in and address different services on campus, and great. The goal of this program is a little bit different. The idea is that together the new members would take a few hours one morning or one afternoon to go on campus and visit with different offices. In the main, we've given you a list of offices that we would encourage you to visit. There might be different offices that you want to check out based on services that are on your campus. Your educator needs to work in advance. This isn't something that's intended to be a scavenger hunt that the members would go out and get signatures. It's done collectively, and the new educator would need to call these offices ahead of time, give them a heads up that they're going to be coming by and looking for some information, and the new members go to each of these offices. They can get some templates or resources that will help them in the future. Here is a list of things that you won't see in the program. It's not that we don't want you to have new member class officers, or that we just don't have a philosophy that is consistent from chapter. Many chapters have new member class officers. Be a great introduction to some leadership positions. Have new member class officers, feel free to continue the tradition. You might even consider changing up some of those positions based on the new pilot program. Paddles. The challenge I see with this activity is that depending on the size of the class of new members and the number of members in the chapter, this can be a time-consuming activity that doesn't always produce the results that we want. Overall goal of signature books is for initiated brothers to spend having a conversation with a new member, become a servant, or do for the initiated brothers. So we would ask you to take any type of activity like a signature book or paddle out of your program. Push you to think differently about how are we going to engage initiated brothers in the process. That's why we've included a lot of brotherhood activities. You might even want to consider doing a one-day retreat. Next bullet point, pledge class retreats. We concluded the writing of the new pilot program. It is pretty time intensive, and members are asked to do a lot. An additional one-day retreat wasn't something that we wanted to require in the program. However, we know that it's a key part of many of your new member programs. If it's something that you want to continue and it's something that you feel would be beneficial to increase the brotherhood with the initiated brothers, don't hesitate to ask. We have some examples of great new member class retreats that guide you so that you get the most bang for your buck. Quizzes have been included in the Life of Excellence Manual, and your new members will get a Life of Excellence Manual that includes those this year. Again, I ask you not to use quizzes. The program is truly designed to the member learn the information cumulatively and memorize it. We want our new members to walk away being better members, not someone who can recite a certain piece of the creed or some additional historical information. Quizzes serve a purpose, but no with the new pilot program. Piece is the Adult Development Week. Chapters have a successful process that new members go through the week prior to initiation. Again, the design of the Meeting 7 and Meeting 8, as well as the additional capstone activity that we'd like new members to go through, we didn't feel like it was an additional item we needed to add to the new member program. The chapter has positive activities that new members prepare for initiation and engage them actively in the brotherhood. It's continue. We just need to consider how much are we putting on our new members that last week, and we all spent in that 1 week of time. Could those activities be dispersed among the 8 meetings so that we're asking our new members to give an exorbitant amount of time in that 1 week? Tips to implement the new program. Read and reread. I can't emphasize enough that the manual is lengthy and there is a lot of information in there. To be successful, we truly need you to read through the information and become familiar with it. Again, like you're prepping to teach a class. Any faculty member would tell you that they don't wait till the hour before, that they're taking time months in advance to get things together. I create a checklist now. What do I do this week? What do I need to do next month? Ahead of time. Don't wait till the last minute. A rule of thumb is to at least give a speaker 3 weeks to get back to you before that you want them to present. Meet, whether that's your chapter advisor, faculty academic advisor, or even your campus Greek advisor, and walk through some of this information. Give them your thoughts and have them provide feedback. The support that you can get from those individuals will help you to be successful in the program. Chairman to bridge the gap between new education and really intended to be an introduction to the greater concept of member education. Work your chapter officer that is in charge of the FAR. Many aspects of this can be fit in the FAR. Don't wait till the last minute so that you don't have the documentation needed for the FAR. I alluded on our calls we would do a series of webinars, but the only one that is live. There are webinars that will be hosted in the folder on Delta Connect called New Member Pilot Program. In there you'll find resources like the manuals, but you'll find things like the webinar that we're doing this evening, as well as additional webinars on various aspects of the program. So I'll talk quickly about the Meeting 3 Risk Management Summit, but we'll go into greater detail in one of those webinars. The Big Brother program, we didn't talk at all this evening about that, but there are some recommendations for that. It's not necessarily when you do it, but how you do it. So that webinar will walk you through the process of implementing a successful Big Brother program. Then, as I mentioned, is our new member class project. We want new members to fully engage in the community and understand the value of the partnership with JDRF. This will help you understand the purpose of that project and help you plan ahead. The program is just as important. We want to ensure that the new members are successful in the classroom as well as out of the classroom. So that will give you all of the tips that you need to have a successful academic program. Will be discussed in their own webinar, how to really bridge the gap between what you were doing with the Rite of Iris and ritual and how to take it to the next level. The addition of the new member capstone. In that, the hows and whys we're doing this additional element to the week between 7 and 8. Anytime, please do not hesitate to contact myself at the central office or our group of volunteers that are working with the program. The committee consists of Dave Sullivan, Assistant Advisor at the University of Florida, James Advisor at Indiana University, Scott, Director of Academic Affairs and Search Chapter, and Stein, who is the new member educator at Carmel University. Any of these individuals can help answer your questions and to prepare to implement a successful new member pilot program. And if you have any other questions, please email me at ellen.schertzer@dell.org. Thank you.